Hello, welcome to our channel, Top 10s You Should Know. They're practical tools used by thinkers, leaders, and decision makers throughout history to think clearer, feel calmer, and act wiser. Whether you're tired of falling into old patterns, feeling stuck in loops of thought, or just curious about how to rewire your thinking, this one might change everything. Let's begin. 1. First principles thinking. Breaking down belief to build better understanding. Most of us live by assumptions we never question, things we've been told are true without ever being tested. First principles thinking changes that. It teaches you to break ideas down to their most basic truths and rebuild from there. Popularized by philosophers like Aristotle and more recently by innovators like Elon Musk, this model helps you stop accepting what others say and start thinking for yourself. 2. The map is not the territory. Seeing beyond your mental filters. We create maps of reality in our minds, stories about people, places, and ourselves. But these maps aren't the territory. They're just simplified versions of what we believe is real. This mental model reminds you that your perception is not always accurate. It's filtered through past experiences, emotions, and biases. 3. Inversion. Solving problems by flipping the script. Inversion flips the way you approach problems. Instead of asking, "How do I succeed?" you ask, "What would guarantee failure?" And instead of wondering how to get what you want, you ask what habits or choices would destroy it. This model, used by great thinkers and modern strategists alike, helps you avoid blind spots and destructive behaviors. 4. Circle of control. Focusing only on what you can influence. So many of us waste energy stressing over things we can't control, other people's opinions, global events, past regrets. But mentally bulletproof people use a simple model to stay grounded: the circle of control. Anything inside the circle, your actions, thoughts, and effort, you focus on. Anything outside, gossip, politics, what-ifs, you let go of. 5. Second-order thinking. Asking, and then what happens? First-order thinking asks, what happens if I do this? Second-order thinking goes further, and then what happens? This model forces you to look beyond immediate consequences and consider long-term impact. It's used by top investors, leaders, and philosophers to make decisions that serve not just today, but tomorrow. Many people react based on short-term gain, only to face unintended consequences later. 6. Occam's razor. Choosing simplicity when confusion takes over. Occam's razor is a centuries-old mental model that says, the simplest explanation is usually correct. And while it started as a philosophical tool, it's now used by scientists, detectives, and decision-makers to cut through complexity. When faced with confusing situations, emotionally strong people apply this model to avoid overcomplicating things. Number 7. Lattice work of mental models. Building a framework for clear thinking. One mental model isn't enough. The strongest thinkers use many, weaving them together like a lattice work. This means combining models like first principles, inversion, and margin of safety to form a multidimensional view of any challenge. It prevents narrow thinking, protects against bias, and allows for better decision-making. Great leaders, inventors, and problem-solvers train their minds to hold multiple lenses at once, so they never rely on just one. Number 8. Margin of safety. Planning for mistakes before they happen. Originally used in engineering and finance, the margin of safety model teaches you to plan for error, delay, and uncertainty, not just ideal conditions. Whether it's giving yourself extra time before a meeting, saving more money than needed, or training your body beyond expected strain, this habit builds resilience. Emotionally bulletproof people apply this to their mindset. They expect setbacks, prepare for mistakes, and leave room for error. 9. Anti-fragility. Getting stronger from stress, not just surviving it. Anti-fragility is more than just resilience. It's the idea that some systems grow stronger when exposed to stress. Popularized by Nassim Taleb, this model applies to your mind, body, and relationships. People who embrace anti-fragility don't fear challenges. They seek them. They understand that pressure builds adaptability. Pain teaches preparation. 10. Systems over goals. Letting structure carry you forward. Goals give you direction, but systems give you movement. Mentally unbreakable people stop obsessing over outcomes and start designing routines that carry them forward, no matter how they feel. Whether it's a morning ritual, a weekly review, or daily reflection, systems keep you growing even when motivation fades. Unlike goals which end once reached or missed, systems keep going. 11. Black box thinking, learning from failure without shame. Black box thinking comes from aviation, where crashes are studied in detail to prevent future accidents. Emotionally resilient people use this model to examine their failures without blame. Instead of shaming themselves for what went wrong, they treat mistakes like data, lessons to study, adjust, and improve upon. This creates a culture of learning rather than judgment, both in work and in life. 12. Hanlon's razor. Don't assume malice when misunderstanding works. Hanlon's razor says, never attribute to malice what can be explained by ignorance or misunderstanding. It's a powerful mental model that stops unnecessary conflict, reduces emotional drama, and builds peace of mind. So often, we jump to worst-case scenarios. They meant to hurt me. They did this on purpose. But more often than not, people act out of fear, stress, or simply not knowing better. 13. Reciprocity principle. Understanding why we feel obligated. The reciprocity principle explains why we feel obligated to say yes, even when we mean no. Psychologically, humans hate owing favors, so we return them, even when it costs us. Emotionally aware people recognize this trap early and learn to set boundaries. They accept kindness without debt. They give freely, not expecting repayment, and they decline unfair exchanges without guilt. This model helps you navigate social pressure, negotiate better, and protect your energy. 14. Pareto principle. Focus on what matters most. Also known as the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle teaches that 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results. Emotionally bulletproof people apply this to their thoughts, habits, and decisions, focusing only on what truly matters. Instead of getting lost in minor details, they prioritize the few key factors that shape outcomes. 15. Feedback loops, recognizing how thought shapes reality. Feedback loops show us how our actions influence our environment and how our environment influences our actions in return. Emotionally intelligent people recognize these loops in their thinking, habits, and relationships. A negative feedback loop might look like stress, poor sleep, lower mood, more stress. But a positive one could be gratitude, better sleep, higher energy, more joy. All right, friends, that wraps up our list. The top 15 mental models that rewire how you see the world. Which of these mental models felt most familiar or most needed? Have you tried any of them before and noticed a shift in how you see life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experience. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs a deeper framework for life, and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Thank you so much for watching. Stay grounded, stay curious, and remember, your mind is not fixed. It's flexible, and with the right tools, you can reshape it, one model at a time. See you next time.